United States women's national team. Okay, let's maybe chat a little bit about the roster side of things. I thought Lisa had a good question there about, presenting some challenges to the center backs there, let's start there. Let's start on the defensive side of things. When we're looking at maybe the defensive shape that could present itself to either of these two friendlies, who do you maybe want to see getting a run out there? Like, who would you like to see in terms of this goalkeeper pool and this defensive core? Get a start against in any of these two games, right? But specifically as well this Fort Lauderdale game.
Yeah, I mean, I think when we look at the back line for the U.S., we have to start with the goalkeepers because AD French has been called into this roster. And we talked about it, Sandra, when this roster did drop, that French being called in with the Kansas City Current, her incredible run that she did with that team in the NWSL, bringing them to the NWSL championship. I think that it's a player that is good to see called in. Now, I don't think we'll see her play in this match in particular. There's also Casey Murphy and Alyssa Nair. I think Nair is going to get the start in goals. She's been the most consistent one there. I think that for Vlatko Andonovski, it's having that stability and that leadership between the sticks for him that's going to really set the tone for how this defensive shape wants to play. And then you can build out of there. But between French, Murphy, and Nair, I think he's gonna stick with Nair there. And then that might change how we see the center backs lining up. But Lori, do you think that we'll see anyone else in goal?
No, I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, it's interesting balance right now because I think, I don't want to speak for everybody here, but like, it does feel like there's like an interesting point of like where you're trying to build continuity in terms of the people that have been called in consistently, right? That we've seen called in. But then obviously there's some new faces, and how do you get them a bit more playing time to, obviously they've like AD French is a great one, fantastic year. She's been involved. We know she has experience at this level. Do you give her is she just getting a run in camps this week, or is she going to get some minutes, right? To see where she is again with the national team. So it kind of feels like an interesting balance right now of like who you're giving those minutes to or not. But I do feel like in this first game, we'll see a bit more consistency of what Vlatko has rolled out as of late. And so I would suspect, and Nair seems to be the number one, rightfully so as well. I mean, she's had a terrific year as well. So I would expect that.
In terms of the middle third here, that's what we sort of transitioned with, from the break. Would either of you like to see a little bit of a shift in formation, or B, if we continue to see what we've sort of seen over time in terms of the rotation of the midfield, like who do you want to see really get a run out and really get a test against this German side?
In terms of like formation, I think we're still going to see four in the back. I think that we'll still see some iteration of a midfield that's either 3 solid with 1-6, but honestly, I think we could see a 4-2-3-1, which is what we've seen. I think that rolling that out against this German side would be beneficial, but like in terms of 4 in the back, like and who would roll out there, I think that that is where we are going to see some consistency in what Vlatko does and rolls out in that back line. I know that Crystal Dunn is called into this camp, but I believe she's still on minute restrictions, so I don't think we'll see her getting starts or anything like that. I think we'll see Fox on the left. I want to see Girma and Sauerbrunn in the middle. Perhaps it'll be Girma and Cook. But in terms of that, and then Huerta on the right is kind of how I see that back line going. I know Mace is called in as well. I doubt she's going to get a start in this one. But I think between Girma, Cook, and Sauerbrunn, I think that's where you look at, like, hey, do you do someone like a Girma who's coming off of a great season, rookie, defender, all of these accolades, and pair her with someone like a Sauerbrunn or someone like a Cook, who's perhaps more of the future of this team. And I just want to see Naomi Girma get a start, honestly, in the center back. I do. I think she deserves it, and I think that it'll be a really good test of kind of how she can lead this side against a German team.
Yeah, I mean, Girma's been
amazing.
Yeah, she's been excellent. So yeah, give her a run. Another good stepping stone for her in just her journey. It almost feels like it's not even like experience at this point in time. She has it.
Yes.
Get her out there. Just get her out there and let her do her thing. I would be curious though, because we haven't seen about her and Sauerbrunn playing together. And there's been like, chat about whether this because they both were going to play on the left side or not. But, I would be interested in seeing both of those players together. If not, I would imagine we would see Girma and Cook right now on that back line. Yeah. And then, listen, we mentioned Crystal on the minutes restriction. Does she get a go? You also have Fox, Huerta, Mace, who's been called in those point in times. And we've talked about it here too. And even Danielle was great last time saying like, who knows what the best position is. But if Crystal's on minute restrictions, then yeah, give her a go in the midfield. Let's go. Like, it's not even like about giving her a go. We know she can play. She's excellent there. So let's try her out. If we're talking about, I don't expect a different formation really, even though we talk about it. I don't fully, and we can talk about formations all day too, right? But it's more of just about the understanding in the midfield and the covering of ground and supporting one another, especially if you're just playing with the one pivot. So let's go. Let's try some things.
So where do you
I'm with you.
If Crystal plays in the midfield, Lori, where do you want to see her? Higher up?
Well, I think she could play a two-way midfielder. Why not play her late? I think that's the best. That is exactly, we need somebody that's going to be able to do both of those. She can sit back, whether it's Andy or Sam Coffey. She can get into the attack. I think that then it just adds into, Flacco's going to have to ask some tough questions because who do you leave out? Do you allow then almost a free role for Rose Lavelle? Do you have Rose Lavelle coming off the bench and just allowing Herrera have a bit more, or Crystal have a free role, and then Herrera's holding a bit more, and Crystal plays higher up? Listen, there's a variety. Here's the thing. We could talk about formations all day, right? It doesn't really matter about the formation. It's just really about the understanding the position and the understanding collectively, because I think now that Malpu's back, potentially in the starting lineup, that gives a totally different look to this team in the way that she plays with Chicago, right? She can overload in the midfield. She naturally drops into the midfield as a winger. That is something that Germany, when we're in possession, is really going to have to deal with. And that is like a threat through and through. And who's ever playing on the outside back on her position provides the width. Then all of a sudden our midfield looks so different. So the formation, it doesn't really matter. It's just about the movement and the understanding in and out of possession.
I think it's a good argument to bring up, or it's a good scenario to bring up. I think in one of the previous episodes that we just recently did, Lisa and I made a joke saying that like there's a lot of times where we have this as like the Crystal Dunn show, quite frankly, because it's just like we're always talking about like the caliber of player that she is. But I think it's important that it's something that we continue to keep talking about, just because on within this defensive core of things. At this point, look, they're closing out the calendar year. 2022 is about to officially be over for them once these two friendlies get done. And we're going to probably start to get a little bit more reflective of things about what that means moving forward as they continue to prepare for a World Cup. And when you have within this defensive core the rising profiles of an Emily Fox or a Sofia Huerta, with the in the back burner of Kelly O'Hara, who's like navigating injury, the recent inclusion of Haley Mace in some of these in some of these windows for this team. How do you not start to at least entertain the idea of Crystal Dunn not necessarily being pigeonholed to this one, position that we've seen her over the last cycle or so. So I'm curious to sort of see what that looks like moving forward. We've heard Crystal Dunn say that, hey, she's Miss Versatile, that she's going to be wherever the team needs her to be. But it is something I think that it needs to continue to be, chatted about, just because of, like I said, like we're starting to see some other players kind of, get more extended minutes, right, within these positional areas out on the pitch. So